Hello and welcome to My Left Ear. I am Carrie Freeman, writer, producer, director of My Left Ear. It's a liberal channel and we cover a lot of different things, sometimes even spiritual things. But this is video 202 and I've been recuperating from something for a few months, so the videos have been less than they usually are, but we're gearing up again. Today is June 24th. Monday, and I usually forget to say this, but please like and please subscribe. I always forget to say this. All right, so I just have this little bit of business and housekeeping right now. I got a beautiful donation sent to my home, and this is, I'm hoping this person will recognize. That's the envelope, you can't read anything, and that's the card, and there's a beautiful letter involved here. I mean, it was just beautiful with the donation. And I cannot effectively read the return address and the name, and I apologize, but I want to send you a book because you mentioned this in the card that you'd love to read my book. And this is from, if I can read it again, Fort Gratiot, Michigan, zip code 48059. So if you are that beautiful individual, would you email me at carriesleftear@gmail and type in your name and address, and I will mail you the book. So I'm hoping you receive this because I'd hate to mail it to the wrong name and address, and that would be insulting. So I hope this works, all right? And I'll be looking out. We're gonna do some runes today and catch up a little bit. I wanna put my glasses on so I can read better. So I'm just jumping right to it with the runes. So this was my first question today. Oh, and by the way, it's hotter than hell in California. And I had the air conditioning on, but I turned it off because of the noise. And let's see how far I get because it's freaking hot. And I have a little tiny fan on me right now. And we'll see how I do. I may start just like sweating in front of you. So here's the question. Will Trump's threats of violence and other things and lies affect his sentencing, which is coming up? His sentencing is coming up in July. A few days before the GOP convention. Oy vey. All right, so in some of these cases, I felt like I knew what the runes were telling me. So in some of these cases, I picked 3 runes. In some of these cases, 1 rune told me what I needed to know, and sometimes 2. So that's how we're jamming today. So to that question, I got the rune of disruption. All right. And let me just read to you. It is the Great Awakener, and it may take many forms. It could be so powerful that it rips away the fabric of what Trump previously knew. All right, I'm using Trump's name. So when disruption appears in a rune cast, it indicates disruptions on many levels. And although there is no reverse position for disruption, it always acts in reverse. So in one big fatal swoop, it does act always in reverse. Because it's like a big H, and so you turn it over and it looks exactly the same, so there's not a reversal. Tells us that in one fatal swoop, this rune may act as ripping away one's current understanding and perception of one's reality. During this time, one's relationship and partnerships may fail, plans may go awry, and money supplies may even empty. Now, right this minute, Trump has a lot of money. Don't worry about that. But right this minute, he has a lot of money. I'll talk about that next My Left Ear. Even money supplies may empty, because all this money that just came into the DNC, a lot of it may go to his legal affairs. I don't know that anybody's going to know that. The only power one can hope for to utilize right now is one's own inner strength. And Trump really, he's a blowhard, but he really doesn't have any inner strength. It is a solid indication to avoid new starts. It's important at times to recognize that one does have limitations, and attempting to fight, my screen blew up like it does sometimes, you know how that goes. There we go. This is important at times to recognize that one does have limitations. Donald Trump, you do have limitations, and attempting to fight this fate will lead you to more anguish. That's the only one I picked for that question. Will Trump's threats affect his sentencing? Yes, I think this is now my left ear that's talking. He has defied, what, 9 or 10 gag orders, and he's viciously gone after the judge, the judge's family, the court employees and appointees, and I think this is going to play into it. The only thing that I think may happen is that this judge is very measured and kind of unemotional in a good way. I like him very much. That he may sentence, and then he may postpone it till after the election. Hope not, but he may. And nobody seems to know, right? Nobody seems to know. I think because he's been so out of control, Trump, he's going to pay for it. He's going to see some kind of holding space and limitation put upon him. That's what my left ear tells me. As I get more, I'll share more with you. Now, there was a rumor this week that I really liked, and so I decided to throw some runes on it. And I asked, is Jack Smith preparing to indict Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because that's a rumor that I've seen twice on Twitter. And I've always felt that he's working on the insurrectionists. Nobody's talking about it, but I've always felt that he's quietly working on the insurrectionists. So is Jack Smith preparing to indict Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene? And I got the coldest rune in the whole bunch. Stand still. Stand still. And stand still represents the properties of ice. And it tells us this is the winter of their spiritual life. It's upon them. They may find themselves entangled in a situation whose implications are, in effect, they are blind. They may feel powerless to do anything except submit. I'd like to see Marjorie submit. What does that look like, right? Surrender, even sacrifice some long-cherished desire. And it also says positive accomplishment is unlikely right now, Ted and Margie. There is a freeze on your useful activity. Your plans are on hold. You may have to submit, and be prepared for some time of waiting, and do not depend on others, because when you've got this rune of stand still, which is just like a pole, you can't depend. People are flocking away from you. I don't mean flocking towards you. They're moving away from you. All right. So the second rune I got on will Ted Cruz and Margie be indicted. I got the rune of strength in the reversed position. All right. It says, without ears to hear or eyes to see, you may fail to take advantage of the moment. I don't think either of them can hear or see, in that metaphorical way. It could be a missed opportunity or a weakening of their position. I see that. Your own strengths may be used against you. This rune reverse serves to alert and offer clues in the form of failures. And for those who are deeply unconscious, it's a jolt. The rune calls for serious introspection. They're not likely to be introspective. They're not built that way. I don't think any MAGA is introspective. So they're going into some deep waters. There's more though. Got the warrior. Always the battle of the spiritual warriors with the self. It recommends to let the will of heaven flow through you. And this is embodied in this rune as an energy of discrimination. It's kind of like right and wrong. And it enables us to cut away the old, the dead, and the extraneous. All right. And the urge towards conquest or self-conquest is a lifelong pursuit, but it calls for awareness, single-mindedness, and the willing to undergo your passion with trust. These are deep concepts that they are not capable of, okay? These are very limited people. Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene. But the harshest message from this is telling them that they must let go or sacrifice their old way of thinking. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? All right, now we're going to move on. This is about the debates. And I asked about the debates because I have had a feeling from weeks ago that Trump is going to drop out. He's not going to show up. And now he's talking about loud. Joe needs to take a drug test. He's going to come in hyped up on drugs and amped. And he needs to take a drug test. I mean, he's been over and over and over. And I think maybe if he does drop out, he's going to say something like, well, if I'm not going to debate if he's going to be hyped up on drugs like he was at the State of the Union, which he wasn't. He just presented beautifully and with energy. But that's what he's, and I'm feeling like we might be coming up on that any minute. It would have to be soon. But here it says defense. That's the first rune. It speaks of the difficulty that can arise at the beginning of new life. And it may offer a time of waiting. So waiting is our clue here, that Trump may drop out, make a demand, everybody waits, and it doesn't happen. It's a possibility. It speaks of being able to capitalize on what you've developed so far, but without immediate payment for his work. That's Trump. And I think he feels on top of the world right now, and he feels that maybe he doesn't even need to do this. He doesn't even need to do this. Look at all this money he just brought in. And this rune does talk about defense. Speaking of preparation, and we hear the word preparation in a lot about the debates for the future, but this guy doesn't prepare. Trump doesn't prepare for anything. He's gonna like roll out of bed if he's gonna do these debates. If we're lucky, he'll take a shower and just show up. And he's just gonna do his old routines. He's like Don Rickles, but a worse version. All right, then we've got gateway reversed. So if a gateway is reversed, it's closed, all right? It says, even in times of accelerated growth, Dawn, you will have reason to halt and reconsider the old. It's about integrating the new. This is not in his nature, but this is the rune we got. Take advantage of these halts. So I don't know, maybe the runes are saying, if you do cancel the debates on your end, you should be taking advantage of the free time. If you are undergoing difficulties, the nature of your passage depends upon the quality of your attitude, the clarity of your intention. What we know about his attitude, he rarely has clarity other than the clarity to win and conquer, win and conquer. Then it says, make sure that you are not suffering over your suffering. Well, there's the ultimate victim, Donald Trump, suffering over his suffering and want everybody to suffer for him. It warns him, hasty decisions may cause you regrets. You may bug out of this debate and then regret it and come up with all kinds of excuses. Impulses. He's the king of impulses, must be tempered. All right. Then the last one, strength reversed. It says, without ears to hear or eyes to see, you may fail to take advantage of the moment. Could be an opportunity missed or a weakening of your position. Your own strength may be used against you. And this rune serves to alert to failures. And once again, to those who are deeply unconscious, which we know that is true of Donald Trump, this may be a jolt. So he may drop out. I could be wrong. But he may drop out and think that it's strengthening him. And this rune is saying, oh no, you're going to be shocked. If he does that, he's probably going to lose some people. Now we're going to go on briefly to Aileen Cannon, and I have some more things about her in my next My Left Ear video that I've already started making notes on. So here are the questions that I've come up with, which other people have come up with too. I'm not like, oh, me. Is she incompetent? Is she stupid? Well, I know she's a narcissist, and I'll tell you why in a minute. She's stubborn, which is part of her narcissism. Is she helping Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society and Trump? Now, people have been arguing. So I was in the kitchen the other day and I was thinking about this thing with Aileen Cannon. Is she doing it on purpose? Is she stupid? Is she incompetent? And all of a sudden at the sink, which will almost always happen at the sink, my left ear said, she's all of those things. They are not mutually exclusive. Well, I came out and I turned on the TV and MSNBC, one of their pundits said, she's all of that, right after I thought it at the kitchen sink. And I was like, yes, I love that confirmation. So she's all of that. She's stupid, she's incompetent, she's a traitor, she's cooperating. And you know, probably you heard that 2 senior judges in Florida confronted her and suggested that she does not take this document case. And there were 2 of them. Both Republican judges implored her, and she refused. She refused. She's very arrogant, and she's been promised some things. All right, that's my left ear. She's been promised some things. Well, then I came up with, will Aileen Cannon be replaced by the 11th Circuit? And I'm just going to tell you, my left ear thinks yes. I have a lot of faith in Jack Smith. He's much smarter than Aileen Cannon, and he's patient. I'm starting to get like a little sweaty, so that's why I'm doing this. The guy's patient. I mean, he really has a lot of wisdom. He probably is underestimated. So I'm just going to say, yes, eventually she's going to make decisions that are going to lead him to ask for her recusal, or what, if that's the right word, and it's going to go to the 11th Circuit Court. They've already seen her misbehave. They've ruled against her twice on 2 different occasions, once from the very beginning. So we'll see. It's going to take a little more time, but my bet is on Jack Smith. And I mean, honest God, we'll just have to release balloons when Aileen Cannon is sent. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Aileen. Bye-bye. Go have dinner with Leonard Leo and your husband. All right, now we're going to go to my favorite, I don't know what to call him, but Bill Palmer, which I've talked about a lot, and I follow him because he's often correct, just from his common sense and his legal background. So Bill Palmer regarding Cannon, she's met her match in Smith. He wrote that. He said, I've said from the beginning that Smith knows what he's doing, what I just told you. Smith is laying a slow, imperceptible trap for the scheming judge, and it's one she has virtually no way out of. Sounds good, doesn't it? Bill Palmer's right a lot of the time. Now, what I added this morning when I was putting this together, that my left ear predicts low voter turnout for Republicans. That Republicans aren't going to turn out the way people are expecting. Democrats will. Women will. So Bill Palmer says, given how weak Trump's support is with Republican voters, I've long predicted, that's him, that he's going to have trouble at the Republican National Convention. Yep, little, I was trying to think of a word, a little upheaval that Trump doesn't realize could be coming. So Palmer goes on to say, it always seemed probable that a large chunk of these delegates would revolt and try to install someone else as their nominee. So there could be a lot of drama. Also, the convention is 2 or 3 days after he is sentenced. So he's going to take that sentencing into the convention. He's going to try to make it work for him somehow. Like being a felon is really cool. And now we're moving on. We're kind of winding it up because it can't be too long today. Did you know that the Senate is investigating Matt Gaetz? It's all come back, and there's a new investigation. So Matt Gaetz, I wrote, will Matt Gaetz be indicted for trafficking in ethics? That was the question. And I got that rune again, that chilly, chilly rune. Stand still. Stand still represents the property of ice. The winter of his spiritual life is upon him. He may find himself entangled in a situation to whose implications he is blind. He may feel powerless to do anything except submit, surrender. And I just got this picture of, like, you know, when they take, like, he's just covered, he's boxed in. And he may have to surrender, sacrifice a long cherished desire. And I think one of his desires is to become governor of Florida. Ha ha. Further, Matt, positive accomplishments are unlikely right now, fella. There's a freeze on your useful activity. Your plans are on hold. You may have to hire some attorneys and submit. Your daddy will probably pay for them, as he always had. And there's a period of waiting. Just want everybody to know that. Then, along the lines with Matt Gaetz, I picked the rune of possessions in reverse. It tells us maybe considerable frustrations in your life right now. You fall short, you reach out, and you miss. Matt, you could find yourself watching your gains dwindle. Reversed, you are being put in touch with the shadow side of your possessions. Doubtful situations, negative situations are abundant. All right? And my left ear, when Matt Gaetz got married to this woman named Ginger Lucky, can you imagine that? Was she born with that name, Ginger Lucky? Because when she married Matt Gaetz, I thought, she's not so lucky. But I felt he did it as a very calculated move to make him look mainstream, to make him look wholesome. She's a very wholesome looking young woman. But it's not about love. He was doing something strategic. She's still married to him. Feel bad for her, but it's a choice she made. And then we're kind of coming to the end here. Immunity. SCOTUS has not told us yet. They're what they're going to rule on immunity for Trump. And so Bill Palmer wrote, keep in mind that this ruling has already been made. They know what they're doing. It's already been made. I agree with him. It simply hasn't been issued yet. That's part of their game. If this were a ruling in Trump's favor, would the Supreme Court have wouldn't the Supreme Court already have dumped it out? Instead, the court is waiting until the very end of its term to finally issue that ruling because it can drop it, dump it, and get out of Dodge. So I agree. And the ruling, for the most part, is going to be against Trump, if not all of it. They may pull out like one thing or something, but thank God the January 6th case goes to Judge Chutkan. And she is so intense on this that if she is able to start it before the election, she's giving up a vacation. She's going to cancel her vacation and get this going, which is, we like Judge Chutkan. There's rumors about Ben Carson, the ex-brain surgeon, some kind of surgeon, as VP. My comments on that is that I don't care if he went to medical school. I've just been dealing with a lot of doctors. Not all of them are brilliant, I got to tell you. But in his case, I find him dull. I find him not very bright or articulate. He's like Pence. He'd be subservient and not non-threatening. And Trump wants somebody subservient, docile, and non-threatening. Trump does not want anybody to outstage him. He wants a very weak vice president, someone he can manage. I tell you, if he picks Ben Carson thinking, oh, it's going to help him with the black vote, I think it's going to work against him. I really, really do. All right, now we're finally at the end, and I went longer than I did, but I'm okay. I'm not, like, I'm warm, but I'm not. So here's the good evidence. I took two pieces. Voters who are between 18 and 30 years old are overwhelmingly voting for Joe Biden. There's like a 60-point lead over Donald Trump with these young voters, 18 to 30. That's really good. Then number two, that I think is really good evidence, Senate Democrats, not the House, have opened an investigation into Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner for the $2 billion they received from Saudi Arabia, the people that slaughtered Jamal Khashoggi, that nobody ever seems to want to talk about. They didn't murder him. They slaughtered him and tortured him. All right. And I would not forget the quotes. Of course, I would not forget the quotes. So here's the quote: compassion is the basis of morality. Isn't it, though? And I'll give you the background here. This is by an influential German thinker, Arthur Schopenhauer. He was born in February 1788, and he wrote a book. This is a strange title. I don't pretend to understand it, but this is the book, The World as Will and Representation. It's kind of a mysterious title. However, it's a Buddhist-influenced book that evidently impacted the works of Nietzsche, Jung, and Freud, and Einstein. So simple, right? The great thinkers are always pretty simple. Compassion is the basis of morality. So that's what I've got for today. You know, I think that being away from doing these more detailed reports, I'm maybe a little bit rusty, you know, like I got to get my mojo back. But thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your continued support. I actually have video 203 in development, or this would have been like a 2-hour long video. We didn't want that. And I have to get to my physical rehab appointment. They're killing me, by the way. They're just killing me. They're the best people, though. So I'll be back, and I'm going to come back with a Patreon. Hang in there, Patreon. I'm coming back very soon. And have a good day. Make peace. Make good memories. And think about compassion. Well, I know you do. I know you do, because of what I have received over the last few months. And I'm still receiving. So grateful. And my friend, get back to me. You recognize the envelope you sent. Email me so I can mail you the book. I'm going to mail you the book. It's a good book. Okay. All right. Much love. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.